You're at 100. Ooh. There we go. Ooh.
Can I sit back here? Don't sit back.
Huh? No, you should be fine. There'll be a little bit of an echo, but it won't be as bad.
Whatever.
You were on 100%.
Okay.
You were on 100%. That was the problem.
Oh.
Okay. And then Ms. Florence and I can sit together, if you don't mind.
No, I don't.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Don't have a quorum yet.
No, not yet, but we still have time, thank God. Oh, what?
Just let people know that.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out the technical challenges. 11:03.
We can start without a quorum.
We just can't do any business until then, yeah. One, two, three, four.
Fine, that's all.
Armani signed in and then he went out. So we just need Armani and Quanda to sign back in. And somebody just came in.
Mason, you coming?
Yep. Up, Armani's here. Yay. All right, we just need one more. Oh, you signed in by phone. Make sure you're on grid. I am on grid view, Armani. Let's see.
So make sure you're on grid view.
Yeah, there's two views, there's gallery and then there's grid. Oh, gallery is your grid view and then there's speaker view. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, Tamika, Armani,
Yes.
and then we need one more.
Who the other person?
Quanda and Vivian.
Mason didn't shine in?
Oh, Mason, yes, Mason as
He
well.
did?
Yep, he said he's coming. I know, Armani, we're trying to figure out this muting thing.
This is Mason.
Mason's on too? Yes!
So we got it.
Yes, we got it.
Okay.
I'm here.
Yes. I love it. We got it. All right. So excited. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. To just make sure that we are respectful of time, there are some opening things, and please forgive the echo. We're trying to figure out this situation. But if you could bear with us, we're going to try to make sure that this meeting is timely and constructive, and we'll get you guys going to enjoy the rest of your day. So in the room, we have to make sure that we have quorum first. And so Miss Carol, can I impose upon you to read off the names for me, please? Yes, ma'am, I'll mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. And what was it you wanted, Madam Chair?
Just to read the names.
Of the people who signed in?
It's for the roll call.
Oh, the entire, okay. Willie Brown,
It's not here.
Ken Brissett, Angie Camacho,
Here.
Chris Cato, Thelma Barros, Rosalinda Medenchik, Dina McAllister, Carol Ray,
Here.
Florence Potter,
Yeah.
Quanda Burrell, Mason Howman,
I'm here.
Vivian Phillips, Bill Singleton, Armani White,
Present.
Andrew King, Andrew McLeod, Aaron Jones, Tamika Williams. Tamika's here.
Here.
Your face. Carol Strike, and I'm here.
Great. And Madam Treasurer, if you could confirm that we have at least 7 members to make quorum. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Do you confirm that?
Yes.
Awesome. So we have quorum. We can start the meeting. Yes. um, just to make it easier. Oh, what's that? Oh, are you muted again?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Carol needs to mute. And now you're muted, Angie, if you're talking.
Oh, no, I was trying to get my whole life together. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Do-do-do. Oh, yes, thank you. We are recognizing that the meeting has officially started at 11:08. And I'm just trying to share away here. Here we go. And once I actually get myself together, we will show a slideshow from the beginning. So welcome everyone to our Ward 9 committee meeting. Again, we have opened the meeting at 11:08 and we have confirmed that we have quorum to start business, and we have a lot of business to do. So thank you for coming and making this a part of your day. We have already done roll call. Thank you, Madam Treasurer. And the agenda, as previously emailed, is here. And I know that the slide is a little busy, but again, you already have everything in your email. We do hope to, as part of additional documents, mail everything out to everyone going forward, including things like the contact list that we owe everyone. And then, of course, the minutes from this meeting. So today we're really going to be going over a number of basics, as well as, oh, sorry. Did I mess up? I messed up. I think I messed up. Sorry. So we did confirmation of quorum. Oh, that's when we do the reports. Yes, thank you, Ms. Florence. So we did confirmation of quorum, welcome. Yes, so we're going to do a number of basics today, really because there were a lot of questions from prior emails and reorg meetings, and the reorg meeting, sorry. We have new and returning members. And then because of open meeting law, we really can't negotiate a lot of things in email. The actual business of our meetings have to happen within the meetings. So a lot of times I might refer us to our bylaws, or if an email is sent, I will bring it back to the executive committee to be clear that we will bring it to the meeting, because that's really where these things need to be discussed so that all of us can have a chance to talk about the actual business fairly. And so you'll see as we go throughout this meeting, there are going to be a number of areas where you see that that is actually going to be happening. So I hope that'll be an example of the things going forward where everybody will have an equal chance to have a voice and shared leadership in the process of the ward. So as we go through each meeting, we will go through we'll go by Robert's Rules of Order. That is the designated process by the state party. Robert's Rules of Order are also found online, but it is our guiding document. Sorry, I don't actually need this up. It is our guiding document for meeting order or process. When we are voting and we have responses, there are guidelines around that as well. We will be discussing the agenda item. Questions and answers will be timed. We will call for a vote if needed by starting with a motion where the motion will be given. We will discuss the motion and we will vote. And the votes are voice votes. While we are in the time of COVID, those are the virtual requirements by the party. Expectations. So there's a lot of feedback that came to us as the committee about what people need in order to participate. What's most important is attendance. It is still required. According to the bylaws, the state party has put forward that we have to be present at least half of the regularly scheduled meetings. So what does that mean? Before, we only really committed to 4 quarterly meetings, so you had to be at least 2 of them. If you missed a third one, then that was subject for review. We didn't really adhere to that as well as we should have, but where we're focused on inclusion, what's most important is that if you can't make a meeting because there's a barrier, please let us know. That's very, very important because we want to make sure we can help you be part of it, something than not part of it. But we will be looking at things like attendance because that really should be guiding the work. Let's see. The work must go forward through teamwork. So as we go through, we'll be sharing time, following the facilitator, etc. And the one thing that we have to be careful about is disruption. Please note that if you go over the time allowed, you may be muted. I'm just trying to make sure I don't have anybody who's waiting in the room. Nope, okay. You may be muted. If you continue to unmute or refuse to allow others to share space and continue to rebut, your activity in the meeting may be limited. I want to be careful about the difference between passionate dialogue and arguments. I want people to be passionate, really dig into the issues that we talk about, but we have to make sure we're protecting all members from conflict. Conflict is okay. Disagreement is part of the normal part of democracy. But we also have to be careful to make sure that when we're participating, everyone feels safe. If someone does not feel safe about participating because somebody else is not sharing time or may be overly aggressive in the rebuttal and not following the facilitators, that may be a problem. And so we will deal with that if that comes up. And we hope that it doesn't by sharing the basics right up front. And at the end of the day, we really are talking about this because we want all members equal right to participate in the meetings and the business of the ward. And so in order to do that, we have these meetings and one of the activities ahead of us today is to actually set what the meetings look like. There is a standing agenda from the party guidelines about what a meeting should hold. This is just for your information. Please, just for preparation purposes, whatever our next meeting is, as we set them at the end of today's meeting, or by the end of today's meeting, sorry, we really need you to send us your matters for consideration by 7 p.m. on the last business day of each month. So for instance, if we have a meeting in December, the last weekday is November 30th. So we would need anything that you have by that time in email. If you have anything right away, you don't have to wait until then, but we need it by then to be able to consider it and see if we can add it into the agenda for the next meeting. And again, this is about inclusion and giving us the tools to make sure that we can review what you're presenting and we can get it in the schedule. So even if we can't get it in the schedule for the very next meeting, we will acknowledge that we received it and give you an idea of when we are looking at it, okay? And if there's a barrier or something, we will be transparent about that. So that we have to, as I mentioned, attendance, the regularly scheduled meetings have to be put forward. We realized by offering this Saturday, some people could not make it. But again, we actually were trying to do this in person. We were trying to do this earlier in the month. A number of holidays hit. So mid-month, the third week of the month it seems to be what's ideal in regards to being less hindered by holidays and other competitive things that we have going on. However, it doesn't have to be Saturday. So I'm going, once I go over this slide, I really want to open the floor to a discussion to talk about what our business meetings really should look like in regards to scheduling. The minimum is generally quarterly. Of course, there was some allowance because of COVID, so that we have some flexibility, but the idea is that we meet regularly. So one of the things that I was going to suggest to us is that at least to get 4 meetings in between now and next April, considering we already had a reorg meeting, this is the next business meeting, that we do meetings every other month. So that would be December, skip January, February, skip March, April. That again, we are expecting these to all be virtual. You will notice that a couple of us are in the room. However, that was just for special accommodation purposes to make sure that we can coordinate this meeting effectively. So we really don't have a meeting space that will accommodate the full ward. Now, if you have an option that's big enough according to social distancing guidelines, who will give us access, please let the executive committee know, any member of us, it doesn't matter. Please make the connection. We would love to start seeing people in person for as many people who feel that that's safe, okay? But in the meantime, it is virtual. To respect time and not burden us all with this screen thing, and I'm actually gonna put my glasses on because my eyes are already hurting. We're gonna try to keep it to 90 minutes, so we will try everything possible to close by 12:30. Again, the standing agenda was before you, but again, as you give us your points of order, we will work with the executive committee to get that stuff through the operational meetings. And then of course, that doesn't include special business meetings for caucuses, endorsements, et cetera. Those are special meetings. So when we're talking about attendance, we're talking about the regularly scheduled meetings. The months that we're not doing business meetings, when we get to subcommittees, we'll talk about the different ways people can participate in a higher level of leadership. But one of the things that keeps happening is we keep hearing about issues, right? And so one of the things I was hoping we could do is consider non-business meetings on the alternate months, so we could just have more of an open forum to hear from community members about issues that we as a ward should be aware of. We're not making business decisions. These are just listening sessions only. And so that's something that I would like us to consider when we get to the committee section. But again, those are not regularly scheduled business meetings. And also the other part that's not considered are our subcommittee meetings. Those are non-business meeting months at a minimum. They must be announced because they're still subject to open meeting law. But decisions that are made in those would be presented at the official business meetings or executive committee meetings, depending on where they sit. And then we would be able to continue the work, but those would not necessarily be counted towards the attendance guidelines. So that's a lot of talking, my dears. I'm going to go ahead and mute and take questions if anyone has any.
There was a question from Amani about.
Oh, is it on there? Armani, unmute.
About the meeting schedule. There was a question.
Oh, Armani,
What's
can
up?
you put it in chat? Oh, did you have a question, dear? Carol was saying you had a question.
I didn't. No, I don't have a question, but thanks for asking.
Oh, okay, thank you. So the question before us is how often do we want to meet? Again, we're only mandated to meet quarterly, but there is a lot of work to do. Do we agree with that maybe meeting every other month might be helpful for the remainder of the year until like next April? Or what are some thoughts around that?
I have a thought about that actually. This is Armani here. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. Or monthly works too. I think there's always going to be something that's in the way, and like like in terms of like holidays and stuff. But if we want to commit to doing it, we should just go for it and try our best. So whether that be bi-monthly or monthly, I think as long as we're meeting, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that you're leading with yes. I really appreciate that, Armandi. Thank you so much. So if we, now the other question was whether or not Saturdays were the best day to meet. What are you guys thinking? Do you think we should try to stick with Saturdays or
Madam-
is there another day that's better?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is Carol Strive.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to suggest that people email you and Rosalinda and indicate which days other than Saturday might be good and which times would be good, so that instead of taking time right now, we can do it more expeditiously
Okay.
that way.
Okay.
I agree with Carol.
Everybody else is in agreement? Can we take a motion to table the setting of this schedule for the year for this meeting, pending a survey of all members?
I so move.
Can I have a point of information real quick?
Sorry.
A point of information. How will we decide once those emails get sent to you with preferences? Is that something that we're gonna like decide on next meeting, or?
We'll decide by next meeting, but to your point, I think a simple Google form might be helpful, no?
Well, yeah, whatever. I guess my question is less so how we get the answers and more so how will we decide once we get that. Like I personally feel like an evening during the week is better to get more, but then some people might not. And so I guess, you're going to get a number of responses. And my thought is, how are we going to land or decide on that?
This is Carol Strife again. I made the motion. I think that's a very good question, Armani. I think that if everybody sends in their suggestions, we can certainly tally them. Rosalinda, the secretary, should probably be the person who does that. Tally them up and let everyone know what the results of the vote tally is, and perhaps then based on that make a few specific suggestions, and then everyone can have maybe a second chance to say which would be best.
At next meeting?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and then vote on it. Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking like what would be the process for us to then vote? But that makes sense for us to table it, do a poll, and come back to it. Especially since we don't have a lot of members here, and if any one of us drops, we don't have quorum.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we've already done the roll call, so if anybody drops, that's it. So the meeting's
That's
open.
good then, because
So,
technology issues. If someone pops off, is that going to stop us from making decisions? And it sounds like we're passing the decision to the next meeting. So sounds good.
I need a point of clarification on that. How could you vote if the quorum does drop?
once the meeting is open, we are set to run business. If there's nothing in the bylaws that say we cannot continue to run business.
And you're saying
I
you're
mean,
going
the
by
issue then becomes making sure we have enough votes. But again, there's very few things that we're going to decide today. So today is mainly informational.
So you're putting that down as one of the things on the minute?
The vote has gone forward that we will be tabling the requirement to set our schedule today. We will be sending out a survey. The majority of the survey, the majority rules for the survey, and that's what sets the agenda for the remainder of the year.
Can you set out a doodle form, that type of survey, or was y'all doing individual emails as I heard you guys saying?
Well, a Google form would be sent out by an email, so we will determine the best way.
I said
to get
doodle.
the best
I
number
didn't
of
say
answers.
Google. I'm sorry, Angelina. I was saying the doodle because that has when everybody clicks on their schedule.
Mhm.
Like when Armani said the evenings, if there was more people going through the evenings, we would all see that in real time. So I'm trying to understand if it's on the majority, do we have to have a vote on setting the date when we're going to see what the majority is on the form?
That's a great clarification question. The bylaws only state that the chair has to set the meetings and that we get input from the committee. The committee does not have to vote on the final schedule.
That's what I thought.
Yep. But because I actually lead from a place of inclusion, I absolutely, as much as possible, always want to hear what everyone has to say. And I want to make sure that as the executive committee, we're leading with that in mind as well. And I'm so thankful that the committee members have that same focus. So, but to your point, we will absolutely make sure that we try to get everyone's input, and we will make sure that people know what that was.
I'm just saying, yeah, if it could, there's a way in real time with media and platforms to show everybody transparently. So we could all see that at the same time. That's all I was suggesting, to use a
Yeah, no,
format.
transparent.
that
I know,
shows
I hear you. Transparency only means that we give you the results. So as long as we give you the results, it doesn't have to drill down to who said what, because some people really don't want their votes known. And so we have to respect that too. So again, because this is not a formal vote process, I just have to get the information from you in order to set the schedule. My hope is that I would have your trust, and
No, I understand. This is not nothing. This is just something that it's not about a trust or anything that you're going into. It's just that it's a tool that when you say it, everybody can see it. And it's just nothing. It's not about here or there. We're still working all together. And I'm just saying there's a tool that when you check it off the box, everybody will see it. That's all. And if you're doing it a different way, that's fine. But it's not about any trust or anything where you're going.
okay, no, I appreciate that. It is noted. Going forward, I'm sorry, Ms. Carroll.
Madam Chair, this is Carol Strife again. I think Tamika suggestion is very good, but she is much more technically advanced than a lot of the rest of us are. And we don't all use Google Forum. So
Yeah,
perhaps,
Carol, I'm not saying Google, and I'll send it to you. It's
Well,
called Doodle. It's called
right.
Doodle, and I put it in the chat. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying Google.
I think really going by the by the old-fashioned email method for this first time would be the best way. And Tamika, I know you're not questioning the transparency issue, so let's move on. I don't think there's a second to my motion.
Oh, no, Ms. Carroll, second.
Oh, did she? Okay.
So we're technically in the discussion part. So Ms. Florence, you had a comment?
I was just concerned that, well, the motion's already been put to the floor and it's already second, so.
No, so that's when you have the discussion part.
Oh, okay.
Yep, so this
my
is-
question
uh-huh.
is too, that those that are not here,
Mhm.
they will get a notice saying what happened.
That's correct.
Okay?
That's absolutely
And
correct.
then they will have the opportunity to have their, make the choice of when they would like to have the meeting.
Absolutely. Okay, so you've heard the motion and it has been seconded. We have discussed it. All in favor? Any opposition?
Aye.
Any abstentions? It has been passed. Thank you so much. Do we have, I did see that Jahaira is here and we will have her present on her issues at the appropriate time. Do we have any legislative acknowledgements in the room? I can't see my screen. Okay, moving on. We have just
Madam
two
Chair.
reports. I'm going to keep mine really short, but we'll start. Ms. Florence is actually going to walk us through the minutes. The treasurer's report will be Ms. Carol Strife, and then I'll give a quick report as well.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Did everybody receive the minutes for April 5th, 2020?
Yes, yes.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Any corrections? No corrections? Okay,
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes as distributed to all members.
May I have a second? Ms. Carol Strife has motion to accept the minutes. Okay, Ms. Florence has also seconded that motion. And because the opportunity for questions has already been presented and corrections, can we have a vote?
There's some bad echo. Can you all do the mute thing again, please?
Oh, sorry. What was it? We reviewed the minutes, opened the floor for any questions or clarifications, and the vote to accept it has been taken. by Carol Strife and seconded by Florence. And so we're going to take a vote to accept. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? It has been moved. Thank you. Ms. Carol Strife? Madam Treasurer?
Yes, thank you. I'm losing my voice, so this may be a little bit quicker than I thought. The balance on hand as of January 1st was $295.23. Since that time until October 16th, we have received receipts of $240 from dues from members and $70 in donations from Jeff Ross and Armani White. The expenditures so far have been $20 for refreshments, excuse me, at the caucus. We have a balance of $585.23. We have bills coming in for approximately $100 for copies of Robert's Rules of Order and a small cost for a forum. So that balance will go down to about $485. We need dues or waivers from 13 members. And thank you very much to those people who did respond to my silly limerick and gave me their dues. That's it.
Thank you so much, Ms. Carroll. Any questions?
Madam Chair, this is Mason. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mason, go ahead.
I just wanted to commend our treasurer on her poetic abilities.
Oh my gosh, that email was classic. I loved it.
I'd like to second that, Madam Chair.
Thank you all.
Move to accept the treasurer's report.
Thank you. Ms. Carol Wright has moved to accept the treasurer's.
Second it. You're muted, Angie. I can't hear anything. I don't know if you're muted on purpose, Angie. But I haven't been able to hear anything past couple minutes.
Sorry. I was trying to avoid the echo. I thought I was being picked up on another computer, but I guess not. Sorry, guys. So the chairperson's report is usually done by the chair. It's the vice chairperson's report because Jeff is on a 3-month leave of absence, as you know. So what does that mean? So I am in the interim position of chair with the support of the executive committee to do the things that the chair would do. The executive committee still connects on the things that are needed to make sure that the business of the ward goes forward. We have had some activities as part of the ward, and I thank everybody who did come out to the multi-ward forums on the issues and the candidates. That is something that the ward has been doing as part of a multi-ward effort for a couple of years now, and I'm glad that we were able to continue the work. And thank you to Armani for serving as the tech lead on, I believe it was the candidate forum. Was that right, Armani?
Yes, I think
Thank
so.
you so much. We really appreciate that effort. The other thing that we're involved in is connecting with community. You're going to hear from Jahaira Lopez shortly because she has an issue to present to us. And so we've been listening and sharing requests. You would have seen her information go out to the team. And then also there's outreach efforts like early voting. I want to say a quick thank you to Armani, Mason, Miss Carol, who agreed to do the non-contact distribution. My apologies, it ended up changing to a mail campaign, but I want to say thank you for agreeing to volunteer and making yourselves available to make sure everybody knows to vote. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And as other things come up, we hope that we can lean on our membership to do that stuff.
Yeah, hey,
There's
Madam
also
Chair.
a lot that I learned in this position so far. In these short months, even with COVID, we do have a need to change and increase our connection to the party and each other more than ever before. Armani, I see your hand. I'm going to acknowledge you in just a moment.
Okay, thank you so much.
One of the things you're going to hear me talking about today, again, is subcommittees, volunteerism, communication updates, and more when we talk about those sections. And so again, I just want to say at the end of the day, thank you for your patience, your willingness to work with me as a new leader in the ward, and just working with each other to make sure we're all getting information and we're all working together on community issues. Armani, you had your hand raised. I'm recognizing you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I have two different points, kind of very separate. The first one is there's a number of opportunities for Democrats to get involved in the general election that I'm connected to, that I would love to share with folks. Opportunities to call swing states with progressive organizations who are trying to make sure that, you know, Latino voters and white voters who might be undecided, or Latino voters who are unregistered, and Black voters in the South, for example, all different areas to turn people out. So I'd love to share that. And then also with my local neighborhood association, the Chester Square Neighbors, we're doing like a ranked choice voting info session coming up.
Yes, Armani, can we table that till we get to new business?
Oh yeah, sure.
Because
And then at the
Tim's
second
there
point,
to share that.
okay, cool. Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we get through this stuff.
Totally, yeah. I didn't know when the time was to share that. So thank you for letting me know. And the second point was, I do think we have a guest in the room, David, who's been asking some questions. I'm not sure when the time is set around, I think, what is on the agenda around how we get new members when there's vacancies. So I'm not sure if you want to like address it or not. But
We do have a new member section that was on the agenda.
Okay, awesome.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks.
So, and also Armani, thank you for making sure that that the chat questions are coming up. So you've heard the chairperson's report and also the questions that have come up from it. May I have a motion to accept the chairperson's report? Thank you. Ms. Carol Ray has accepted it. May I have a second? Ms. Florence has second. You've heard the motion. This is the time, the last chance for any questions or comments.
I guess I have a question about the Jeff situation. He's gone for 3 months. I totally understand that. And, you know, is the idea that he's going to come back? I wasn't quite sure. Or is this like a permanent thing? I think you're doing a great job. We're meeting now under your leadership, which is great. But I'm worried about what that means and what the process is. And I don't see anything in the general bylaws about it.
So the general bylaws, and great question again, thank you. The general bylaws do allow for a leave of absence, and after talking with the state party, the only thing that Jeff was required to do was send a notice to us stating that he's going to have the leave of absence and the initial amount of time expected. After that period of time, we have to reassess. If he needs to extend that time, he then petitions again the ward about that, and then we figure out whether or not that extension can be granted. The nature of the absence we cannot disclose, but it is indeed serious and family related. And honestly, looking at it from a 3-month block to a 3-month block is the fairest way to look at it, to still allow him a chance to jump back into leadership if the situation improves. But if not, giving respect to him, who had, our leader who has been contributing so much as the chair for a number of years. So again, when the end of the 3 months comes, we will address it at that point. But the bylaws are very, very loose about it, only to give the local wards the ability to govern what's best for them. Yes, Ms. Carroll?
I'd just like to add to that this courtesy would be extended to all committee members.
That's right, absolutely. So again, being about inclusion, going back to the point about if there's something that's barring you from participation, please let us know. If there's any sick or shut in among us, please let us know so that we can reach out and be there for each other, because the ward should not just be about the business that we're mandated to do out in the community. It should be us as a community looking out for each other. And thank you, Armani, for that compliment about the leadership. I'm working so hard, and I'm so glad that you're finding it constructive. I appreciate that.
Move and second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. May I have a vote for all in favor? Aye, thank you. Any opposition? Any abstentions? Thank you. We're moving right along. Okay. So old business. There's a few things around membership. So we have 21 seats. That is set by the number that we select and inform the secretary's office. And so that 21 seats is where it sits right now. Attendance and participation guidelines still apply. We've already talked about what that is. That is half of the regularly scheduled meetings, and of which we have two. We've had the reorg meeting and we have the business meeting, and we will be setting the rest for the remainder of the year. And we separated what are regular meetings, regularly scheduled meetings versus special meetings or subcommittee meetings and issue hearings. We're not mandated to fill open seats when they come up. However, the need to fill or best process to fill has to be determined. It's not based on last election results. But going back to that point, we do have a few things that we as a membership have to clarify before we even think about opening new seats. One of them is, as you may have seen the email, Ms. Janice McQuarrie has sent us an email stating that she did not expect to come back to Massachusetts to take care of her family member, and we give her our love and support. However, technically the seat is still hers until December 31st of the year. So if she decides to move back into Massachusetts, if her mother's situation improves, if for whatever reason she decides to come back, that seat is technically still hers. We also have a pending issue around lifetime membership that I'm about to clarify. So generally in the bylaws, the opportunity to add associate membership or the opportunity to add lifetime membership are listed. However, we do not have associate membership guidelines, so we have no associate members. And generally it is suggested that you would identify people from that pool first if they exist. And they do not, because we do not have guidelines for that. However, we also don't have any recognized lifetime members at this time. And there were 4 members, huh?
My name shouldn't be here.
Oh, no, those are people who qualified. Those are people who qualified. So,
Did
there
Aaron
were
Jones not
4 in the
qualify?
balance. Huh?
Did Aaron Jones not qualify?
Wait, we haven't got there yet.
Oh, sorry. I thought you,
Okay.
that's what you were
So
saying.
4 members were in the balance and would have been exempt as of the last election, right? For transparency reasons, we have to reach out to those 4. That would have been Mr. Willie Brown, Ms. Carol Ray, Aaron Jones, and Richard Shibley. So what we have to do is contact all 4 members, right? And they have to either acknowledge or decline the opportunity to apply for lifetime membership, right? As I mentioned, Aaron Jones, well, as you mentioned, sorry, Armani, Aaron Jones did submit paperwork. However, they just got to me today, so I just have to look through them and make sure that they actually fit the guidelines. So once we confirm with all 4 members their intent to apply for lifetime membership or not, they just have to give us the information from the Secretary of State showing that they've been elected for 20 years. And that's all wards. It's not just Ward 9. So all wards, and it has to be the actual election, not just the ballot placement, because people can be on ballots and not actually win that election. So we need the information from the Secretary of State showing that they have been elected and serving for 20 years. So lifetime membership, however, is still subject to all of the responsibilities and guidance of membership to retain that right to engage. Once you become a lifetime member, you still have to maintain everything that other members have to maintain. Okay, so again, just for fairness, we are going to be communicating with all who have potentially been eligible. Huh? Oh, you're not, okay. Potentially been eligible. So if they are not, then we just keep going. If they don't want to apply for lifetime membership, we just keep going. But those are the 4 names that I had access to based on the last records. And so if there's any errors or omissions, I do apologize in advance. Please let me know if there are any. But once we confirm the lifetime members, we need them to hold on to the information as well as our records, because that's what really got us into this position in the first place. As there were transitions, and this is not unlike most organizations, right? As you know, as we transition between leaders, and one of the things that we're going to try to fix going forward is continuity of information. We have to go to the secretary's records first. When those secretary's records don't exist, we have to rely on the Secretary of State's records or the actual member being able to gather them from the Secretary of State themselves. So the reason why we have to ask the members to do it is because the Secretary of State's website doesn't make it easily accessible. And so then the burden of proof is on the actual member. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm hearing nods, I'm seeing nods, okay. So that is the process. And again, if I have a name on here that shouldn't be on there, I apologize. If I'm missing a name, I apologize, just let me know. And again, this is just as the last election, and because it was a pending order of business, we have to ask all the potential members who would have had 20-year membership. So please let me know if you're on that list and I did not include you. And again, these minutes will be going out, so that'll give everybody a chance to let me know if they are missing from this list. And again, because all of that's informational, there's really no votes for that. New business, woo! Jahida, are you still on with us?
I am. How are you guys? How you guys doing?
Good. So Jahida from the Roxbury South End Partnership 2.0 is with us. And we have a few minutes to have a conversation with you, my dear. And then we're going, and I know you have to get back to class. And then we also have a presentation on the proposed resolution on the trees affecting Melnia Cass, which will be offered by our chair, Madam Treasurer, sorry, Ms. Carol Strife. Jahida, thank you so much for being with us, and take it away, honey.
Hi guys, how are you? My name is Jahida Lopez. I am one of the leading organizers for the South End Roxbury Community Partnership. As many of you guys know, we've been demonstrating at the corners of Mass Ave and Washington for 7 weeks now. We've also paid a friendly visit to Governor Baker's house, which ended up in one of my other leading organizers, Domingos de Rosa, that got served with a harassment order for us not to go back to Swampscott because we delivered a slice of methadone mild to his doorsteps. So it was problematic. And a lot of the work that we're doing is to officially bridge the gap between the South End and the Roxbury, as both communities are impacted equally the same. And we wanted to form a true alliance to attack the bigger picture of addressing this issue that's gone on, that's been neglected for over 10 years. And our objective is to have Governor Charlie Baker declare this a public health emergency. Therefore, different communities throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to have a shared responsibility, because as many of us know who grew up in the South End of Roxbury, that a lot of the individuals that are on methadone mild, Mass and Cass, are not from the city of Boston. They're coming from suburban communities or other communities, sometimes even out of the state of Massachusetts. So we want to address that. Currently, we have a change.org petition called Comfortable Community for All, where we've listed short-term and long-term demands that have been sent to elected officials, both on a city level and on a state level. You know, that was created by many community residents, community leaders, both on the Roxbury and South End side. We have, let me see, we have meetings with pretty much almost every elected official, minus a few. So we had a meeting recently with President Kim Janey, Michelle Wu, Michael Flaherty, who else? State Rep Liz Miranda. We have, I'm gonna look at my phone just so that I do things with accuracy.
Frank Baker, y'all met with too, right? I saw.
Yeah, we met with Frank Baker. Yes.
Of course, I'm writing it down.
Let's see, and we have an upcoming meeting this Tuesday with John Santiago. Then we have one on Tuesday, October 27th, with City Councilor Julia Mejia. And then we have a meeting with Wednesday, October 28th at 6 with Anissa Asabi George. All these meetings will be live streamed in our Facebook group, which we're trying to centralize a lot of the information in one space to build capacity. So therefore, when we start moving into phases, everyone knows where to find the content. They know where to find the links to all the things that we have going on. But pretty much what we're doing now, we're still going to go to Baker's house. We're going to stay on the line of Lynn and Swampscott, so none of us go to jail, but we're still going to be civically disobedient. We find it fun. And so it's bringing more awareness. You know, we printed out info cards that we're going to start leaving in the community of Swampscott, because we've found that in the community of Swampscott, they're kind of totally disconnected about what's happening in Boston. And a lot of his neighbors actually were standing outside with us for those 2 Sundays. They were coming out and standing outside with us and saying, listen, we're tired of him too. And, you know, there's so many demonstrations that are happening here. So, you know, we have a lot of stuff going on and we're moving into pieces. Just on Friday, also, we did a call blitz where we were having, you know, members of the Facebook group and our friends and family contact constituent services for Governor Baker's office. We're going to do it again on Monday, seeing that that's the date that Domingo de Rosa has to go to Lynn District Court for the harassment order. So, you know, a lot of the work we're doing is primarily focusing on having, you know, Mr. Baker declare this a public health emergency. So therefore we can start decentralizing a lot of the services that are on 1 mile, because it's becoming, again, as we all know, a public health emergency.
Thank you, Jahida.
Not a problem.
Does anyone have any questions for Jahida and the work that she's been doing? Ms. Florence has a question.
I want to know, what is your ultimate goal?
So our ultimate goal is to have Governor Baker declare this a public health emergency, because once it's declared a public health emergency, this gives a ability to have other communities throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to have a shared responsibility and start creating systems that are going to work for their communities where many individuals are coming from, to address the needs of having, you know, homeless shelters or homelessness services and treatment and recovery services in their own community.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Carol Strife. I wonder if you, Yahara, could answer, I guess, 2 questions. First,
yep.
Is there some specific action, such as a resolution, that this ward might pass that would be helpful to you? And if that's the case, would you be willing to send us, say, a rough draft of what you might like to see in such a resolution, so that we make sure that we hit the points that are most important?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we're currently working on, graciously, former state rep Carlos Henriquez has suggested for us to work on a addressing the zoning laws. As we know, drugs are illegal, and many of the issues that are happening on the mile, individuals are using substance abuse within school property and those laws. So we're working on that. I can gladly send you the draft that we've come up with so that you guys can take a look at it. But I think that that's another point that we're going to work on, is the zoning pieces around both, enforcing drugs within certain vicinities, and most importantly, how many basically treatment and recovery centers should happen in 1 mile.
Thank you very much. I really would appreciate your sending us such a draft. You
Yep.
could send it to Angelina.
Yep.
And I'm sure Angelina will take care then of distributing it to the entire committee.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Hey, David, what's going on?
Okay,
David, you muted? There you go.
can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
All right, do we have any statistical breakdown as to how many people are Bostonians and how many people are coming from anywhere else? Has anyone studied this? Do we know?
So that's the question of the day, to be honest with you. Those are the questions that it seems that both communities from the South End and Roxbury have been asking for literally years. I know that the city of Boston is creating or soon to be launching a dashboard that reflects all that information. It should be disclosing how many people are having overdoses and things like that, and how many people are seeking recovery and treatment. And so I'm under the impression, that the city's working on this information to distribute and should be, putting this on live on their website. But the reality is we're here today because those are the questions that have been unanswered to both of these groups for a very, very long time.
It seems to me that it comes down to the stereotype of not in my backyard. And
Yes.
of course, they think that Boston is a dumping ground for everybody else.
Yes.
And the people need help no matter where they're from, and that should
Yep.
be objective. And so whenever we say they're not in their backyard, let's say, well, where should these people go? And that is a question that should be answered no matter where they're from.
And which is the reason why we did the demonstration at Mr. Charlie Baker's home. And he clearly demonstrated exactly what is the root of the issue that we're happening regarding what's happening on Methadone Mile, Mass, and Cass. He did not appreciate that, we dumped needles on his sidewalk. And he, him issuing a harassment order against one of the team members clearly defines the whole not in my backyard. And also, we found out that Swampscott doesn't have this issue. They don't have a sharps team. They don't have a department that specifically cleans up needle. And one of the state troopers, who was very nice, was very honest about that. He said that when you guys left that here the first time, that the state troopers had to clean that up. And it wasn't a good feeling for them. They couldn't call DPH, DPW, or whatever, because those things don't fall under job requirements in his community. So again, it was strategically done to showcase the inequities and the ugly truth of how Boston for so long has taken on the burden of many different communities as well as states in this issue, and is becoming a situation that the city of Boston can no longer address this on its own.
Amen.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from Jahaira?
Hey, Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, of course. Go ahead, Mason.
Thank you for your service in running this meeting, and thank you, Jahaira, for being here. I just had a few comments and then a couple questions. I would echo Carol Streif's sentiments that if you can get us some maybe talking points, this is definitely something that I think is ripe for issuing, or at least putting out some statement from the ward committee. I work in the legislature for a suburban Democratic rep, and it's just not something that folks outside of Boston have any sense of. Don't realize this is a problem. They might hear about it in passing and don't know what it's like. at least the kind of the volume and such. So I'd be curious to hear your group's kind of a strategy at the state level. We have super majorities of Democrats in both houses of the legislature that I think might be prone to at least be open to kind of looking at this, but I do think it is something that NIMBYism and not in my backyard comes into play a little more than party, but you'd hope that those folks would be at least interested. And then, so I'd be interested in hearing about your strategy. And then maybe this is a question for our chair, and I'm sorry, I have a teapot going on right now.
That's okay.
But maybe Angie, if you could speak to some options of if we pass a resolution, is this something we could take up to the broader state party?
So what we're doing is, I mean, we've been at this for what, 2 months now, 7 weeks. You know, we've sent out emails to pretty much elected officials, both on a state and local level. They began to respond after we went to Charlie Baker's office. So after us being probably in the 5th week in of the demonstration, it was crickets, and I'm being totally honest and transparent. No one responded to our emails. No one was responding to our calls. But the minute that we went to Charlie Baker's office, the email that we sent that had a calendar for individuals to sign up for a day to meet with us, that kind of like, they started booking meetings fast. And so I guess originally the first strategy was to bring more awareness to it and build the bridge between 2 communities. And so, you know, right now we're at the stage of, we have their attention. Let's have their meetings. Let's have them on record saying what we need them to say. And it's been very clear with the meetings with, you know, President Kim Janey, Michelle Wu, Frank Baker, and Michael Flaherty, that they are on record saying that there is no plan for methadone now. They have not revisited this conversation in a very, very long time, which means that they've neglected to even bring this forward on that level. A lot of them have said that, you know, they need the help from the state. So technically what we're doing now is that we need the state's help, both, you know, the state representatives to kind of help us say, hey, Mr. Baker, we need to move on this as an emergency. So that's kind of what we're doing, is addressing that. And behind the scenes, we have meetings happening to create, you know, a zone, to update the zoning laws and ordinances and things like that. And, you know, we're looking for more help from people who have a level of expertise to kind of help us expand on this conversation, because we know that many groups are working on different things. And how do we build that bridge to make sure that what the community is looking for can be met as an overall? Because I know one of the things that continue to come out, a lot of the needle kiosks are placed more on the Roxbury side versus the South End. The kiosks are near schools, so we're talking about, you know, the racial inequities. We're trying to address the fact that we're being a little bit more fragile on an opioid crisis. When the crack epidemic was an issue, the Black and brown community were being incarcerated, and many of our families are still impacted by that. So we're trying to figure out, why is it so fragile to address this, and why are, you know, individuals have the ability to do drugs and have sex and do all this in front of kids, and there's no accountability. Although many of us don't feel that incarceration is all the way there, but we're trying to figure out, like, where has the ball been dropped that we are where we are today, where the city is saying that they haven't had a plan or revisited this conversation in a decade. And that's pure negligence.
Well, thank you for your work, and I look forward to continuing to work with you.
Come join us. We're there every Thursday. You know, we're changing the time from 5. As you guys know, we're stopping traffic. So, you know, we're hearing that us stopping traffic for about close to an hour and a half, that the city and the state are getting more phone calls because people want to get home when they get off of work. And so it's done intentional. Honestly, we don't want to really get people mad, but sometimes you have to get people mad in order to put the you know, to get people to do what the heck they have to do. That's just the bottom line. And so we're finding that stopping the traffic is working. We're also finding that we're getting an increased amount of beep beeps, you know, which people are like, yes, finally, you know, we're seeing some changes. We appreciate it. But the other part of it is that the encampments now are coming down past. So, you know, they're kind of, individuals are overtaking now the Clifford Park. So we drove by Clifford Park. There's so many tents over there at nighttime. You know, there's a lot of tents over there by the schoolyard, where the Boston Public Schools parks their schoolyards. And, you know, we're seeing things being pushed, and that's not what we want to see, because what's happening is that it's now going to deep diver into the Roxbury and the communities of color, which is going to also be problematic. And that's not the objective. That's not what we consider an equitable solution.
Right. And to the point, thank you, Jahida. Just, you know, point of clarification, I'm so thankful to have Jahida as a partner in other community efforts as well, championing education, go girl. And we didn't wait for it to be on the hot list for the legislators. We have just been waiting for the right opportunity to bring Jahida over and talk with us about the things that are happening in our ward so that we can be informed and respond. So thank you, Jahida. And she's also been making connections as it filtered into the Roxbury side of Ward 9. I was actually one of the victims, right? She made sure I was connected with one of the newspaper reporters so that we can talk about what's happening both on the South End and the Roxbury side as this is migrating to different areas. So Mason, to your point, once Jahida sends the information to me, I will put it out to the entire ward. We will draft we will draft whatever the committee deems appropriate as a resolution for consideration and a vote. Once that happens, if it is voted favorably, the committee hopefully will have an issues committee by then. So we'll talk about subcommittees in just a moment. We still have enough time, thank God. Hopefully the issues committee would pick it up from that point, and really consider what's the most constructive way that the ward can support the effort officially. Now, speaking to the state party part of your question, Mason, I don't think there's anything stopping Armani from bringing it up on the state party side. Am I correct, Armani?
Yes, no, I was waiting for my turn to speak so I could bring that up.
So I'll let you handle that part. But as a ward, we can also impress upon Armani and Jeff to bring it up. And I know Jeff's on leave of absence, but he has been forwarding emails.
Yeah, we probably should press him.
Huh?
I said Jeff Ross is, he's on leave. I don't think he hasn't been to any Democratic State Committee meetings in a while.
Okay. So I think just sharing it with the both of you to make sure it gets there would be ideal, you know.
Madam Chair, this is Carol Strife again.
Yes.
I would like to encourage our ward members to go down on Thursday afternoons and join. I've been once, and it's a wonderful experience because for the first time since I've really been here, you have both Lower Roxbury and the South End actually cooperating with the same goal and working together, shouting and cheering together, holding signs together. So I really would encourage people to go down to the corner of Mass Ave and Washington Street on Thursday from 5 to 6:30. Is that right, Yahira?
Yep. So we moved the time from 5 to do rush hour now, to kind of captivate the rush hour time.
You don't love me, Jahida.
Yeah. So I know, I'm sorry, but you know, it's in a sense it's working, and we've been very apologetic. We've told people, you know, we're walking to people's cars and we're saying, listen, we're sorry, but this is why we're here. So, which is another reason why we printed out like info cards so that people that are kind of like, get out the street, we're like, be here. We're gonna hand them info cards to kind of understand that. But you know, it's been interesting because we've also been met with some resistance with some of the individuals that are habitating their communities. they're kind of like, get out of here, I want to get high type of thing. And we're kind of like, well, technically you're not supposed to be out here getting high, and there's kids out here. So, you know, we're talking to a lot of the individuals who are saying that, you know, that it's a open air drug market, that a lot of them are not there to seek recovery and treatment. They're there because they have access. So we're learning multiple different things. And it's been an interesting journey. You know, we also have meetings coming up with the Boston Care Homelessness Program. We also have a meeting with the Sharps team. So, you know, if you're not part of the group, join the group so that you can live stream it. We're also going to download the video, put it up on our public page, but we have a lot of upcoming meetings. And if you guys have any questions or anything that you guys want these individuals or that we need to hold accountable to be on record saying publicly, let us know, because the objective of those meetings is that we're publicly getting them to say something, and so that we can respond back to them in a few weeks to a few months and say, hey, we met with you 3 months ago, what's going on?
So Jahida, I want to say thank you again, just for the sake of time, and I know Ms. Carol Strife has a presentation as well. Carol Blair did put something in the chat extending her email. If you don't capture it, I'll make sure that you two are connected. Armani, can I give you a couple of minutes to have the floor about your position regarding this issue? And then I have to transition over to Ms. Carol Strife. But before
I see my time.
Thank you, Jahida. We appreciate you. Please send me the information, and we will get the ball rolling on our side.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
I'll be very brief. So I'm a member of the state committee. I'm also a community organizer with Reclaim Roxbury and a member of the Chester Square Area Neighborhood Association. And this is something that that like Carol, who's the president, has been attending and support. And I believe, I think if there's a resolution, we should get on top of that. I think it's great work that you're doing, and I look forward to for us to getting a resolution together that we can all agree on to sign to promote at the state party level too. I would love to connect with y'all to think about how to write something that the state party could push through the resolution committee to then actually be a resolution. I can't guarantee anything. It's a 400-person body, and but we have a solid block of 120, 140 probably progressive state committee members that we've helped organize to be a part of the party to push issues exactly like this. And I think this is something that, like you said, it crosses communities, and also it's a thing that gives us an opportunity to get some big blows in on the Republican governor that we have, Charlie Baker, right? We're a Democratic ward, and I'm a Democrat, so I don't like Charlie Baker at all. So yeah, I'm
Armani, let's focus on the work there.
Let's talk. No, that's a part of the work. I'm keeping it real because that's part of the work, right? He needs to be threatened by our communities. I say most issues are 10% issue, 90% lack of power. And so, we just need to show power, and that's how we do it. But I won't digress. But the other thing I would say is that John Santiago, I think that conversation is going to be critical. He's been really big on championing this issue. I don't know if you guys have a meeting coming up with him, right? You said?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, because at our last Chester Square meeting, he popped in, and I think he's in Kuwait right now because he's also an army person. Right. And so, with that being said, he dropped his information that he has on his website about all that he's doing. He's working on the bridge, which apparently the city's working on. So I think that'll be a great meeting. And then he's also in the state committee, so I'll talk to him about this, and I'll talk to Mason. Mason, are you on the state committee?
I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll figure it out and we'll get it going. And I appreciate you, Jahira.
Join the group, guys. I'll let you guys go because I got to get back to class, but definitely join the Facebook group. We have all the contact there, the information's there, the petition, everything that you need is there. And this evening, I'll have Anissa, who's our administrative leader, to email you guys what Carlos Henrique has presented to the group and how we can all kind of tag team and bring this to the city and both on the state level of zoning, because I think the zoning is going to be very important in decentralizing a lot of these services, because there's too many nonprofits just on the mile, and we don't understand why we still have such a big issue. There's 7 services of the same thing on 1 mile. It just doesn't add up. But yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Thank you, Jahida. And
bye, guys.
Thank you so much, Jahira.
Not a problem. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye. And so because that was informational, we have our work before us. There'll be a vote coming up once we have the work underway for a resolution. Speaking of resolutions, we have our Madam Treasurer, Ms. Carol Strife, who would like to talk to us about the trees.
Oh, thank you, Angie, Madam Chair. I must admit a failure on my part. I was so busy writing silly limericks that I did not send you a draft of a resolution on the trees that the city has proposed cutting down on Melnia Cass Boulevard. I apologize for that. And rather than take up the time, because I see it's 12:15 already, rather than take up your time by my reading this, 8 short paragraphs, perhaps the best thing for me to do would be to email it. I know I should have done it before, but I can do it tonight. Email it to you and get either an up and down vote or some suggested corrections. Basically, what it does is it quotes the Massachusetts Democratic Party platform about preventing the effects of climate change, fighting environmental justice or injustice rather, specifically in communities of color. And then it goes into a little bit of detail on the city's proposal to cut down between 48 and 121 trees, huge shade trees along Melnia Cass. And then there are 2 paragraphs about what we would like to do to urge the mayor and the appropriate City of Boston staff to oppose the proposal to eliminate these trees, and to also urge the City of Boston to conduct public hearings before any further action is taken. So I think the best thing for me to do would be to email this to you, and everybody can have their say on it and get back to, I guess, me, but also with copies, of course, to Angelina and Rosalinda. Thank you.
And thank you, Madam Treasurer. The great thing about this particular issue is that we have a chance to join in with a bunch of other people who care about the resolution. One of the things that we have been talking about on our side is that this is not a new thing. It's actually a pickup from an effort about 30 some odd years ago to take over key areas that belong to communities who live here and invested here for developer use. And this is a way to fight back on that. So the way this process would go is whenever something is brought up that cannot be managed in the meeting, it can actually be addressed by the executive committee. So please, when Ms. Carroll brings it out to you guys via email, please send back your suggestions and your recommendations. If we do have a number of favorable recommendations, the executive committee can decide to finalize the resolution of support because that is the process that's allowed. While we won't try to make too many decisions like that, where it makes sense to move sooner than later, given that we won't have potentially another meeting until at least a month from now, it would make sense to support this unless we hear otherwise. So that's how we will be going forward with this. And Ms. Carol Blair, thank you for mentioning that it's so important, and the deaf ear from the city for over 10 years of meetings. We also know that our state rep is working, China Tyler is working hard on this. I believe John Santiago is also aware of this. So, but I'm not sure exactly on how he's supporting the effort. So I can't speak for him. And so that's basically where we are with that. And so these issues are very important. And so another issue that's coming up really quickly, as many of you have received, and I have acknowledged the team who's willing to get the information out before it became a mail campaign. Early voting starts this week, so please make sure if you don't know your early voting polls, please go to the elections office website on the City of Boston website. The map is a little hard to read, I have to admit, but if you could try to get out and vote early, that would be great. Also, if you decide to mail in your ballots, please make sure that you are following the process for that. Most importantly, with those mail-in ballots, please don't write anything anywhere besides the areas you're supposed to fill out and sign. It can get kicked out. And so I believe the DeWitt Center is the only one in our area. Is that right?
No.
No, which one is it?
Shelburne.
Oh, the Shelburne's here again? Yay, thank you.
That's the whole.
This is the whole list. Thank you. Let's
Maybe we
see.
could copy it and-
Yes, we can send you the PDF version, but everybody should have a mail-in version. We have been having a hard time, so I'll scan the one I have at home, and then I'll get it out to you guys. But yes, so Shelburne is next weekend, and then Thelma Burns is this weekend. And
Madam Chair, point of information.
early voting.
Yeah, no, point of information on this on the conversation at hand. So I know it's 12:22. I think we're trying to end at like 12:30, and I know
Yep.
there's like I know that we all are like very engaged voters, and that this information can be shared maybe in the future. Can we maybe jump to that conversation around subcommittees?
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, thank you. Listen, I'm happy to go with what works.
Yeah, no, I feel like we can, because that early voting will all be, eyes are on it. We can send that email out, but the conversation around committees, especially when we have 2 potential resolutions coming up, and I'm going to be talking to the state party, trying to help us land that too. It'd be good to just get clear on how we make that
Yep,
process.
I'm already on that slide, dear. Okay.
Beautiful.
Thank you. So we are not mandated to have committees, but again, talking about inclusion and shared leadership, committees are important to make sure that shared voices can galvanize around the things that they're passionate about. On the slide is just some of the generally suggested committees that the party, sorry, Ms. Florence, I took it away from you, that the party suggests that we have. And so we're focusing on 4 to start: bylaws, program or issues, membership, and elections campaign committee. The way we're shaping it is bylaws, an issues committee, a membership committee, and a voter engagement elections committee. And so bylaws, they're going to work on working from the model bylaws to propose changes so that it's more robust to handle some of the things that we are focused on. They have to be consistent with the state party charter, and there's a process that goes with that. There's going to be an issues committee who will be the primary point of contact on, things like Jahida's proposal, the trees proposal, et cetera, et cetera. Membership, they'll be working, and this is the affirmative action lead is actually written in the party guidelines. So you'll be working with Ms. Carol Ray to focus on new members, how do current members really feel like they're involved, et cetera. And so the final leadership in that committee would be up to us to appoint a chair, but our affirmative action person is the guiding person on that work. And then of course, voter engagement in elections, making sure people are coming out to vote, encouraging democratic leadership, elections, et cetera. And then supporting any of the campaigns that the state party has endorsed for us to be part of as part of a larger platform. One of the things that I have said to many people, and I heard Amani say, during his campaign, is when people asked us, why are you running? My commitment, and Amani can speak to his, but my commitment was, I said, in 3 years, when we're back here again, I want you to not be asking me what a ward committee does. And so that's my commitment to the community. And hopefully by having these committees in place, we can all share the wealth, get out there, get that work going, and make sure our community knows that we are here and we're here for them. So the way we're going to figure this out is I'm going to be reaching out to everyone. Please let me know your preference for these committees in numerical order, 1, 2, 3, or 4, right? And we will determine the date. I'm hoping, please don't tell me if this is not the one. I'm hoping to have this all solidified by our next meeting. As the vice chair serving as an interim chair, I will discuss with members based on the preferences, and I will make appointments for the committees and the chairs of those committees accordingly. All committee appointments will be announced hopefully again at the next meeting. So the next steps are, once we get out the minutes, this slide deck, et cetera, we will be reaching out to all of the members to find out what their preferences are. And then once I have a chance to chop it up with everybody, we'll be making the assignments. Now, if we can get committees going ahead of time, that's great. We'll get them up, we'll get them going, we'll get them moving, but they will all be announced hopefully at the next meeting. Any questions about that?
Hello, my name is Jim O'Donnell, and I have been attending meetings for several years, but I'm not a member, not an elected member, although I did run. But I talked about the bylaws before, and you told me about the committee, and you know, it's something that I'd like to work on because I have some experience with other bylaws. So I'm not a member, so I guess I asked the question if that would be appropriate.
The bylaws do allow for community members to participate. You do not have to be a leader of the ward in order to participate on the committee. However, the actual final votes and decisions will be made by the main ward committee, and unfortunately, you would not be able to vote there. And those committee member elections would be, committee members from the residents, the resident participation on those subcommittees would be subject to the committees to do the outreach on. So please stay close to us and we'll make sure that you have the information. Armani, you raise your hand?
Yeah, no, I'm curious about the process for the subcommittees. For example, like I'm interested in the bylaws subcommittee, and I'm also interested in the I'm interested in all of them, frankly, but I'm very interested in the bylaws and in the membership, I believe. And so I'm thinking, like, you're right, the process you said is to kind of talk with you, chat about it, and then is the ultimate decision something that we then vote on as a team, or is it something that you appoint, or what is the process?
I appoint it as the chair, but with your input in mind. Remember, give me your preferences. If we have 20 people on one committee and we have 2 on another, Armani, I'm gonna have to lean on you to, be part of the 2. You know what I'm saying? Because you're a strong leader. So we'll figure that out.
Yeah, because at the state party level, like I'm a part of like a number of committees, like the rules committee, the platform committee, and then there's there's levels of there's people who are then chairs of a committee versus just a participant.
Right. That's a good point too. I mean, it's really about making sure that these 4 work well, right?
Right.
So I'm really going to push on every participant to at least pick 1 committee. And some people might have the capacity to do more, some might not, and they have to do less. But ideally, we're hoping that every member is at least serving on 1 committee, whether they're the chair, whether they're a member, that remains to be seen. But this needs to be shared leadership and shared engagement.
Agreed. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Any other questions?
Yes,
Go ahead, I'm listening.
You're muted, David.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to work on the program committee, although I understand I'm not a member of the ward committee presently. Many times governments, because they're innately conservative, do not act, they react to a problem. And I think we should do a very good job of listening to the community and finding out what the problems are that are little problems and then morph into big problems because they are not addressed. And I would also
David, I hear you on that. We will, just because of time, you are heard. We are happy to, as a prior ward member and a longstanding involved resident, we are happy to make sure we stay connected with you on that. So once the issues committee is set, we will take note that you have, and again, we will be recording this meeting. So we will make sure that your interest in that committee will be noted and we'll reach out to you. Is that okay?
That is satisfactory.
Good. We're happy to have you, David. Thank you so much. So again, please remember the volunteerism requirement. Armani, it sounds like will be doing more contact with us in regards to letting us know what's available. Anything that comes through, we pass through to the entire committee. There's nothing from stopping you from being an engaged citizen. Early voting again starts today. Mail-in voting is still going on. So please make sure if you plan on doing that you complete the process. Unfortunately, we're out of time for public comment, but if you have any questions or comments that we did not cover, please email me at angelinamcamacho@gmail.com. And we will make sure to get those questions out at least as part of the minutes as questions presented. Hopefully in future meetings, we'll have more time for public comment. We want to make sure that our residents are able to be part of this process as well.
I'm going to send out some opportunities for folks to get involved in the general election from the state party, and also just local opportunities to learn more about the ballot questions. So I won't take up time explaining them, but if anybody is super, super excited, like, you have my email and reach out to me. But, you know, calling voters in swing states, like I mentioned, and turning out voters to flip Senate states, because if there's a contested election, senators and the House will decide the president and vice president, which, so it's the long game. So appreciate y'all. Thank you, Angie. And I'm done.
No, thank you, Armani. I appreciate it. And good reminder, what we can do is we can put out the information again on the ballot form so people can hear from some of the proponents and opponents of the ballot questions to be a little bit more oriented with the ballot questions, as well as the candidates forum. Thank you. We can recycle that again. And
Yeah,
in closing, oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I have some like some simple voter guide information that I can send over to you to send out to the group, and then also there's opportunities for folks to like make calls to, and that would be great to send out as well.
Yeah, send it out. Let's get it out. Absolutely. I hope I didn't sound like I didn't want to. No,
Oh
absolutely.
no, you didn't sound like I was just reiterating for other people. Hey, also I meant to mention one other thing. I know we have a Facebook page, and I'm curious how to get how to be able to use that. I know that that's going to be a great way for us to share a lot of our opportunities, both about this meeting itself and even about like the issues that we talk about and care about, in our uplifting. So I don't know who
Not lost on me. It's on the agenda, my dear.
Okay.
But let's sidebar on that. and
Yeah, I'll
we
follow
can
up with you
figure that out.
offline about it. Sounds good.
Yeah, we'll sidebar on that, but it's not lost on me. I'm with you on that one. We should.
All right, cool. Yeah,
should
I'll
be
follow up.
using it.
Thank you.
Okay. Speaking in the leading by example, yes, I happen to be the interim chair, but this is about all the leadership that is in this room. So for closing remarks, I would hope to have just one or two moments or thoughts. Well, we'll have to do one of each because we're out of time. But if I can have one thought from a veteran member, somebody who's been here, been part of the ward, and then one thought from maybe a newer member, just 1 or 2 minutes to just close us out. Can we start with someone who's been here for a while? Anybody?
I'll go as a new member.
Okay, Ms. Florence will be the new member.
As a new member, I've just been sitting here listening, and I'm intrigued that I'm part of
Can't
something.
hear you.
Oh, sorry. You want to speak a little closer to the computer?
Sorry, as a new member, this is my second meeting, and I learned a lot just sitting here and listening. So it's giving me the opportunity to listen, to find out what my role is and what part I can play in. And so and it's changing my thinking right now. So,
Amen.
So that's a gift right now that I'm receiving. So I'm just honored to be part of this group. And I don't know what else is in store, but I'm just gonna suit up and show up.
Woo! Yes. And can I hear from one of our veteran members? Thank you, Ms. Florence. I appreciate it. I'm looking at my Miss Carols because I
And we're both sitting there.
one or the other. Go ahead, Miss Carol. Miss Carol Strike.
I'm really happy that there was so much comity and friendliness in this meeting. That hasn't always been true for Ward 9, and I was very, very pleased with the multiple attempts to work together and to push forward towards common goals. If this is the end of the meeting, I am going to move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second from Armani.
All right, so we have heard the motion. Thank you, Miss Carol, to adjourn the meeting.
Second from Armani.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you. And seconded by Armani. And Miss Carol Ray wants you to know that she's muted, but she's approving that as well. All in favor?
Aye.
And all opposed? All right, no abstentions? The meeting has closed as of 12:36. And again, no last comments from me because it's already been delivered by our veteran and our new members. So thank you, and please enjoy the rest of your day.
Have great days, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
You did an
Well
Thank
done.
excellent,
Thank you.
excellent, excellent.
So can, make sure I'm off before any.
Yeah, I'm gonna close all this out now.
Well done.
She sounds like she has a good grip on the subject matter.
I am impressed.